Hello, Damien here from Cloud Technology Experts. In this video, we are going to create the Autoscaling group. In the previous video, we created the Elastic Load Balancer, but our job is not complete until we create an Autoscaler. That is what we're going to do right now in this video. Before we do that, before we create the Autoscaling group, I would like us to make a change to our VPC that we created the last time. As it is at the moment, if we use a VPC that we created, an IP address, a public IP address will not be assigned to our EC2 instances. So we need to make the change so that our VPC automatically assigns public IP addresses. This is a feature of the VPC. When you create it, you need to enable that feature. Otherwise, you have to manually assign IP addresses, public IP addresses to your EC2 instance. Let's go ahead and make that changes. Then we'll come back to make the changes or the configuration for the Autoscaler. So I'm here on my AWS Management Console. I'm just going to click on VPC. I'm going to select my subnets. And remember, the VPC we created was called Secure Website VPC. And we need to work on the subnets. Let's see if we can identify the subnets that we created. And we have them right here. Subnet 1, subnet 2. So let's click on that first one. Then let's come here to action. And here we're going to edit subnet settings. And we're just going to enable that. Enable auto assign public IPv4 addresses. And that's all we have to do. Then we save it. But we need to do it for the other subnet as well. Click on that subnet, come here to actions, edit subnet settings, and again enable that and save. With that, anytime we create an EC2 instance on this particular subnet, it's going to automatically assign public IP addresses. With that, we can now head over to the Autoscaler and create one for our project. Click on EC2. Come down here to the last section here. Here we have two options, the launch configuration and the Autoscaling groups. The launch configuration is a template of the EC2 instances that will be spawned by the Autoscaler. Anytime there's a need for that. So for that, we need to provide things like the AMI, the security group, the key pairs, that would like to be used to create a new EC2 instance. So with that, let's head over to here to launch configuration and let's click on create launch configuration. I'm just going to call it a simple name, LC1. And the AMI, we're going to select the AMI that we created in one of our earlier videos. And it was called Secure Website Image. And then for the instance type, we're going to type T2. We're going to select it here. Just type T2.micro and select it. Then come down here. We leave all those as default. Even the volume, leave it as default. Then here, select existing security group. We call it our secure website. So let's call up on that. And come down here to key pairs. Let's select our secure website key pair, acknowledge, and then just say create launch configuration. With that, we're done with the first one. You have the option to come here and create the Autoscaling groups, or just click on that, come here to actions and say create Autoscaling group. Let's give it a name. Autoscaler secure website. The launch configuration is already there. Just do next and select the VPC, which is our secure website, and select the two subnet. You need to select at least two subnets, and we're going to attach it to an existing load balancer. Notice the other options you have here. No load balancer, attached to a new load balancer. In our own case, we already have an existing load balancer, so we're just going to select it. Then here, choose from your load balancing target groups. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Then we'll select that option there. And we're going to leave it all this as default and just say next. Here, we have to select, I want to select 2 for what I want to show you. And then the maximum capacity, I will say 4. And this is where we specify our auto scaling policy. I can click on that and we can use this average CPU utilization. We'll leave that as default. Normally in production environment, you want something like 70%. This is the value at which auto scaling will be performed. So the average CPU utilization of all the EC2 instances will be taken. And when it's more than 50%, then auto scaling will happen. That is, in this case, they will add more EC2 instances. If I wanted to do downscaling as well, I can do that and specify the percentage at which EC2 instances should be scaled down. So now I can say next. In add notification, I'm not going to create any notification, but if you wanted to do that, this is controlled by SNS, Simple Notification Service. Just click on add notification, select a topic or create a new topic, and you should be good to go. Again, I'm skipping that step for now, but in production environment, that can be quite useful. So we say next, and next. If I don't want to add any tags, and it comes here with all these options. If you want to have any changes, just have it. Otherwise, just say create Autoscaling Group. And notice something here. If we come here quickly to our EC2 instances, at the moment, we have just one EC2 instance running, the rest are terminated. Very soon, 2 additional EC2 instances will be spawned. There you go. This one here and this one here. These have been spawned by the Autoscaler. That was because when we created our autoscaling, we did specify that we want minimum 2 EC2 instances. Those minimum 2 EC2 instances are currently being spawned. So let's try to name them just to make it easier. I'm going to call it Autoscaler 1 and this one here Autoscaler 2. And both of them are running. That's good. So I want to test first of all to see if I can actually access the website that we're trying to build. In other words, I want to make sure that things are working correctly. So if I put that image here, I see my website comes up. If I want to try the other one to ensure that this is also working as expected, I want to come here, copy the public IP, paste it there, and this is also coming through. So at this point, we have linked our load balancer to our Autoscaler. So if we go ahead and put the URL for the load balancer, we should also see the same thing because traffic is now being forwarded to the back-end EC2 instances. So let's try that. Let's come here, come down here to our load balancers, and then let's select this load balancer here, and then let's paste it here. And you can see that we're also getting routing from the load balancer. Okay, one more thing we like to do. So if you notice, currently when we come here to EC2 instances, we have 3 of them running. This was the one we were using up until now. That was registered in the target group. Okay, before I actually show you this, let's see the target group. At the moment, we're going to have a couple of EC2 instances in the target group. See, this was the one that was running before. This is the Autoscaler 1, and this is the Autoscaler 2. Let's see why the other one is not showing the name. Autoscaler 1, oh, I didn't name it. Autoscaler 2. Let's save that. Okay, so now if I come back here to my target group, I click on that. Now I have my EC2 instances. Autoscaler 1, Autoscaler 2, and the secure website. I'm going to delete this one since this is the one we have been using, but it is not one of the ones that the Autoscaler added. We asked the Autoscaler to add minimum of 2, and these are the minimum 2 that he has added. So I'm basically deleting that. As I delete that, this should still work because now I have 2 EC2 instances to forward traffic to. So that should still work. So pretty much we now have two EC2 instances registered to the target group, and these are the ones that the Autoscaler will now be using. Another thing I want to show you is how the Autoscaler makes sure that if we delete any of these EC2 instances, it's going to pull them back. So let's come back here to our EC2 instances, and I'm going to delete this one here, Autoscaler 1, and I'm going to come here and say terminate. And watch what happened. The Autoscaler will notice that one EC2 instance is down and is going to try to put it back. Because remember, we specified that we wanted minimum 2. So now let's delete this EC2 instance, which we don't need anymore, or let's leave it for now. We have already deregistered it from the target groups anyway. So very soon we're going to see another EC2 instance will pop up right there. Can you see that one is now coming up? The Autoscaler one that we deleted is being replaced. That is one of the huge advantages of using Autoscaler. It acts more like a monitor as well, so that if you say that you want minimum 3 EC2 instances, it's going to always ensure that you have minimum 3 EC2 instances running. Anytime any of them is down, it will go ahead, replace it back. And that is what we're seeing at the moment. So now I'm going to label it again AS1 and save it, and come back here to my target groups and see if it's registered. Okay, it's yet to register here, but it should register pretty soon. There you go. We have that Autoscaler 1, Autoscaler 2, both of them have been replaced. Very good. So you see how we have now completed the configuration for our ELB and Autoscaler. The final thing that I would have loved to do is to configure the domain such that when we click on Cloud Tech Experts, like we did in our earlier videos, that traffic gets routed to our ELB. We have to do this from my domain registrar, but I'm not going to do that for now. If you want to do this exercise, it's usually better to have everything inside AWS. That is, register your domain inside of AWS, and then Route 53 will take over the forwarding of the traffic. If you don't have your domain registered inside of AWS, you can forward the traffic from your domain registrar to this load balancer that we just configured, and that will complete the process. All right, I hope that was useful. Again, this is the project page. You can come back here to take a look anytime, and you see all the documentation right here for everything we're doing. So at this point, we have finished deploying our secured website on Amazon EC2. We have been able to add Elastic Load Balancer and Autoscaler to our deployment. And we tested it, and you can see that here on this website, when we put the URL of the load balancer, we're able to browse and see our website. The only thing left, like I said, would have been to point our domain to this load balancer. And this will conclude this project. In the next phase of the project, we're going to look at doing the same thing on Docker and Kubernetes. First of all, we will deploy this same website on Docker containers, and then we'll learn how to deploy it on the Kubernetes platform. All right, thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next video.